We'd like to welcome you back to Ingersoll District Collegiate and to our training series on using Vcarve Pro and CNC machining for wood. Our next project is pretty cool, and we're going to be looking at doing some custom coasters here. You can see a series that's been done. Students have customized and created their own logos. We have a generic logo here we've made for our school with the Ingersoll District Collegiate pierced all the way through, so it just works out that the way that our school logo goes, that we can do it symmetrically. We've got some lacrosse sticks on this one here and other JPEGs. So you've learned how to create images from JPEGs. You've also learned how to follow and profile carve and Vcarve. So these are all things that you can incorporate. A little different process with us on this project because we're going to be using the machine in a little different way, but it introduces a different concept for using thin material. So our coasters are going to come out of a material just like this one here. We're going to ask you to produce a piece at 4.5 wide by 17 long by 3/8. And as a classroom sample, we would actually change that to using a piece that's 22 by 4.5 by 3/8, just so that you get 5 coasters so that I can keep them. That's how I've been able to get these extras that are here so that students can get a variety. So if you're running this here in class, please run with the 22 by 4.5 and produce 5 coasters so that I can keep one as a sample. You'll see here a set that's been cut out already. So we are going to be doing a profiling cut that actually removes the coaster from the material, and we can take those out after. And we're going to be using tabs to hold the coaster in place while it's being machined. This helps us if we have to change the thickness in the future. Also helps us stay organized by not losing the coasters. So they'll actually stay attached using a new feature called tabs. Now, I've selected my material, and I just want to show you a little different process here too as well. Behind me, I have what we're going to be using as a spoil board, and I have noted right here on the spoil board that the spoil board is 11/16 thick, and we're actually going to be pinning the material using a headless pinner to the bottom left-hand corner as our datum point for starting. And so the reason why we're doing this is that our machine has a vacuum bed, and it doesn't hold well with solid wood and thin pieces like this. So instead, we're going to pin the material down using a 23 gauge nailer, and you'll pin it down in the corner, and you can see where students have run. And we just reuse these sacrificial spoil boards and let the material cut through that. So this is also where our thickness is going to come from. So we need 11/16 for the spoil board. We're going to fool the machine. 11/16 plus a 3/8 board. We're going to put in a piece at 1 1/16 thick as our material for this project. So we're going to open up Vcarve now and work our way through this project. So you can create anything that you'd like, whether you'd like to have text, whether you'd like to use a JPEG, that's completely up to you. So I'm going to start a new file, and we're going to input our number 17 because we're only doing a set of 4. Again, if you're doing one for me here in class, please use 22 so that you can fit 5 coasters on the page. And we're going to be using a board 1 1/16. So we need a decimal equivalent. So that's going to be 1.0625. Will get us the number. We're referencing off the machine bed, XY datum in the bottom left, and we're using standard resolution. So our discs here are going to be a 3.5-inch circle. So we're just going to draw a circle, diameter 3.5, create, and there is going to be my coaster. And this is a review of commands that you've used before, so we're just going to move rather quickly here. I want to center this on my piece, and we actually can go right to the middle. But a handy little feature here as we start is this transform remove, and we can move things absolute or relative. So absolute is based on a coordinate move from this bottom corner. So right now I have the bottom left selected, so that means this point right here is actually 6.75 inches from the corner by 0.5. So I'm going to do an absolute move here, and I'm going to change this to 0.5 and apply, and that's going to move it so that I'm 1/2 inch in from the border here and 1/2 inch here. We want to create a logo, and for this one here I'm just going to do something simple. Again, please use text, use any of the skills that you've learned so far. I'm going to do IDCI, and you can see my text is kind of small, so why don't we change this to 1 inch. And again, you know how to change fonts, you know how to move all sorts of things. So some other neat features that you can have, I want to put this IDCI in the center of the circle. So we've learned already that if I try to select this circle, I lose my IDCI. So when you select one and you want to select something else, you're going to hold down the Shift key, select this one here, and we're going to choose this center button. And we're going to use something different here where we can space it inside our last vector selection. So I'm going to say to center this way and center that way. And so now my IDCI is sitting right there in the center. Now I just guessed there for size. Again, if you're not happy with the size, you can adjust this. Again, review of features here. We can use our set size function here. And maybe I will turn this to around 2.5 inches so it sits just inside. And I'm ready to go. This is ready for carving, but we're going to do another process here called array because I want multiple. So once I've laid out one and have it perfect, down here on the bottom I've got my offset command we've used, I've got my array command. And it can be kind of a tricky one to kind of figure out here, but if you look at the way these things are going, it allows you to create a selection of something. So I want to create 4 columns. I'm going to change that to 1 row and increase this to 4 columns. And I'm going to use an offsetting feature. So you can see here the little arrows that it wants to know the distance from the outermost side of the part to over here. So I'm just going to take a guess here at 4.5. See how that looks. So that doesn't fit on my board, so let's change it to 4.25. And there's a messy feature. You can see because I had it selected, I've got all sorts of duplicates here. So I'm going to erase these, zoom back in, select my fonts here, and try my offset here. And you can see I just fit inside there, so that doesn't look too bad. Okay, I probably can tighten that up still a little bit. So we're going to go back here and say undo. And let's just close this to 4.125. See how that looks. That looks great. Okay. So we're ready to program here. This is all review here. I'm going to engrave my lettering first. So I select my lettering, pin down my board here, choose my Vcarve selection. I'm going to turn myself off here and work my way through the selection. So we're going to choose a 90-degree cutter. Sounds perfect. We're going to not need an area clearance tool. And we're going to say calculate. Okay, let's preview all visibles. So I'm going to get my IDCI logo, which looks great. And now we're going to profile. So I'm going to select these again, holding the shift key down. Selecting each of my circles. And we're going to use the profile. And we are going to cut 0.375 all the way through. We want to use a small cutter. I would recommend the 1/8 inch end mill because it will do a nice job. Doesn't remove too much material and leaves a nice finish. And we want to stay outside the line, so that's perfect. We're going to climb cut, and we're not going to bother with separate passes on this one, but we are going to add tabs. So this is a new feature, and you can set the tabs. I would suggest 0.25. What this is going to do is connect the coaster to the material so that it doesn't come out. And I'm going to say that it's going to be 0.125. So we're going to challenge you a little bit here with decimal equivalencies. 0.125 equals 1/8 of an inch. So you can check the chart on the wall if you're trying to match up things. We're going to choose edit tabs here. And it will do this automatically, but I like this feature where I can connect. And so I just click and you'll see it adds a T for a tab. So I'm just going to add a tab to both sides of these. And we're doing this for the reason of making sure the coasters don't come disconnected because they can jam up in the hood of the machine, which can damage the machine. But it also allows us, if we've made a mistake, we can run these through a thicknessing sander and change the thickness of our materials or sand them both sides with a palm sander. Much easier to sand them while they're still attached. And then we just snap off the tabs and finish the unit. So that's ready to go. So I'm going to choose close. We'd like to use a ramp cut. Again, it extends the life of our tooling, so a 2 inch, let's say 3 inches is good, so that it comes in on a nice smooth angle, and we're ready to calculate. So these are essentially finished. Let's run our preview so you can see what we've got. Okay, so there's my tool path for my profile, and we're going to run all tool paths here, and you can see the text. So I'm going to carve my V carving first, and if you zoom in here, you can see the tabs, the little portion that's been left behind to connect those. And this is ready now to export to the machine. So we're going to close this. And again, please run a job summary, and so that we can take a look at all of your features. It will give you a chance to see the time and function. And we're ready to click Save Our Tool Path and post that to the stick to use. So I hope you enjoy this, and it's a good opportunity for you to customize and create a unique coaster for you while learning some new functions. So the focus here again is going to be on thin materials. So you're going to be breaking out a piece at 17 by 4.5 by 3/8, and that material will be used for your project. Again, if you're running one for me as an extra, please run one at 22 by 4.5 by 3/8 so that we can save one for the class. Enjoy and have a wonderful time making coasters.